Thank you, Anna. I think you can tell we're going to have outstanding leadership for this institute. What we've chosen to do today is have some business leaders come in and share their perspective on what we're doing and why it's important from their perspective. And our first speaker is Bruz Clark. Bruz is the president of the Lyndhurst Foundation. The Lyndhurst Foundation has been a long-time supporter of the Tennessee Aquarium. But Bruz brings an added perspective of a trained biologist who is actively engaged every day in conservation work across our region. Join me in welcoming Bruz Clark.
Well, thank you for the invitation to be here today and participate in another milestone occasion for the Tennessee Aquarium. As a former Baylor student and science teacher, it is especially gratifying to be on this campus and to imagine what this new institute will do to enrich and transform the ecological literacy of students and adults from throughout Chattanooga and the surrounding region who will soon congregate here to learn, to share, and to act. I crossed the half-century threshold several years ago, which gave me pause to ponder the phenomenon of aging and its advantages and pitfalls. Having tried to embrace the glass half full philosophy, I will limit my comments to the advantages. One of the joys and wonders of aging is realizing that you're no longer a student of history, but a part of history. It has been one of my great pleasures to bear witness to the birth and evolution of the Tennessee Aquarium over the past 27 years, and also to work for the Lyndhurst Foundation, which has been a major supporter of the aquarium since its inception. One of my first jobs as the newbie at Lyndhurst in 1986 was to assist with the preparation of early aquarium brainstorming and planning sessions. Attending these gatherings were the likes of Jack Lupton, Rick Montague, Carrie Hanlon, Maybelle Hurley, Bill Flynn, and architects Peter Chermayoff and James Wines, who were the chief designers of the initial River Journey building and the surrounding public plaza. I still recall the countless and heated debates over the aquarium storyline, the building siting and materials palette, and the potential risks and rewards of such a bold venture. There were also the shared dreams of a freshwater aquarium as the centerpiece of a revitalized waterfront, an epicenter for education, tourism, economic development, and conservation. Now keep in mind there was no internet in those days, nor digital cameras, cell phones, advanced CAD software, and many of the other sophisticated design and communications tools that are commonplace today. I often had nightmares of dropping the slide carousel with which I was entrusted just as the meeting commenced and watching the carefully choreographed sequence of images and renderings scatter like so many minnows. With 35mm film camera in hand, I watched in 1998 as a small herd of large bulldozers strained against their harnesses to pull down a derelict warehouse near 2nd and Broad Streets, marking the symbolic spawning of the aquarium and the resuscitation of Chattanooga's dying waterfront. Over the course of 4 years after the groundbreaking, I patiently observed as an army of contractors constructed the aquarium's tanks, exhibits, and glass and masonry superstructure. I remember the small evergreen branch that was attached to the towering spire, which has been a tradition of craftsmen over the centuries to honor the natural materials that comprise a man-made structure. In 1992, I watched as thousands of school children and local citizens paraded and celebrated the grand opening of the Tennessee Aquarium. I experienced renewed enthusiasm and excitement with the opening of Ocean Journey in 2005. And here we are this day in 2015 to celebrate the imminent groundbreaking for the permanent home of the Tennessee Aquarium Conservation Institute and portend the many great things that will emanate from this facility, its faculty and researchers, and students. It is appropriate that we are convening on this site today, for it is illustrative of a much longer history, marked by great and seismic geological processes over millions of years, as well as a more recent human presence that date back over 12,000 years. Are you aware that geologists speculate that just upstream from this spot was once located the mouth of the progenitor of the Tennessee River, the Appalachian River, where it emptied into the large inland Cretaceous Sea? Or did you know that we are standing near the beginning of what the Cherokees, Chickasaws, and early European settlers called the Narrows? Before the unruly Tennessee River was tamed by the TVA, this passage of 30 or so miles where the surrounding mountains create a pinch point gave rise to boiling whirlpools with names like the Suck, the Boiling Pot, the Skillet, and the Frying Pan. Second only to Muscle Shoals for its perilous and turbulent rapids, the Narrows posed a navigational nightmare and made for legendary stories for those seeking river passage to Middle Tennessee, the Ohio River, and Mississippi River beyond. More relevant to today's celebration is awareness of the bounty of life that exists in this region, which is attributed in large part to the varied geology previously mentioned. It is in Chattanooga where the mighty and unconventional Tennessee River reverses course at Moccasin Bend to ply its way north and westward through the rugged terrain of Walden's Ridge. Some historians believe that TNACI, the Native American origin of our word Tennessee, translates as bend or twist. Chattanooga is also located where the Blue Ridge Mountains, Tennessee River Valley, and Cumberland Plateau converge. Such geological anomalies, coupled with our region's range of diversity of soils, rocks, coves, caves, elevation gradients, freshwater streams and rivers, and forests, provide a cornucopia of terrestrial and aquatic life. The Southeast, with neighboring state Alabama at its heart, is the center of global freshwater diversity for fishes, turtles, snails, and mussels. Many of these species are endemic, meaning they are found nowhere else on Earth. In 1992, the year the aquarium opened, the estimated population of our planet was around 5.5 billion people. Today, that figure stands at 7.3 billion. 30 years from now, that number is projected to reach 9.3 billion. Closer to home, Atlanta, which was formerly known as Marthasville and Terminus, grew from a population of 3.3 million in 1992 to around 5.5 million today. It is now the 9th largest metropolitan city in the United States and the poster child for suburban sprawl. Will Atlanta's numbers swell to the 10 million mark in my lifetime? The Southeast freshwater systems are under siege as a result of this exponential population growth. The myriad human demands for drinking water, industrial products, chemicals, energy, food, fiber, and development are growing. The resulting impacts on aquatic habitat and species are numerous and alarming and may soon be irreversible if these trends continue. The establishment of this new home for the Tennessee Aquarium Conservation Institute could not be more timely in terms of the necessity to bring the science and study of freshwater conservation to the forefront of our region's community's consciousness and serve as a leader in the restoration of our degraded wetlands, creeks, lakes, and rivers. In his essay, Some Thoughts on Intelligence, conservation biologist, teacher, and writer David Orr challenges educators to attempt to teach what one might imagine Earth would teach us: silence, time, humility, holiness, connectedness, courtesy, beauty, celebration, giving, restoration, obligation, and wildness. As we stand on the banks of this once wild and rebellious river, let us celebrate the arrival of this new facility with the hope that all who enter shall develop a sense of awe and reverence for the natural world and rebel against the prevailing forces of ruin that have pauperized our precious and life-giving freshwater systems and wildlife. Perhaps 50 years from now, I will be able to look back on this event and exclaim that I witnessed the sowing of the seeds which led to the recovery and reblossoming of the aquatic Garden of Eden that is this place and our home. Thank you.